I'm gonna believe that we're live. All right, what's going on, Just?
What's poppin'?
Yeah, we're gonna jump right in. Boom, boom. JustBeFree, and this is rehearsal for the upcoming audio play, The Big Boom, JustBe and Dreamer, and maybe I'll talk about that. Action. Okay, so quick question: do you want to do a warm up? Would that be better?
Sure.
Okay.
Yeah.
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 All right. So you can do it sitting or standing, but like a quick little shakedown and also like a little like check in with your body just to see where you're at. Not to do too much. Do exactly where you're at today. Kind of just like a little gyration, a little kind of get on your tippy toes too. I know you probably can't see that. Yeah, whatever you need. Just like a little shake. And as you're shaking, gyrating, just kind of find your breath. Find it in the shake. And all of a sudden, if you can, just stop and just kind of feel like the sensation of just shaking, just kind of feel your body. All right, and from here, just start with a breath. We'll do the 4 types of breaths. It'll start with in the mouth and out the mouth. So in the mouth and nose. In the nose and out the nose. And lastly, in the nose and out the mouth. And if at any point we lose signal or you can't hear me, just let me know.
Okay.
So from here.
And I also have the phone positioned differently, so it's kind of on the mic. So is it the same as what we were listening to? Okay.
Yeah, it sounds good. So in this very basic kind of in learning about voice, kind of how we start from breath, how it just like moves through our vocal cords, how the breath just like fills up through the throat, kind of like first finding that neutral added.
You kind of going in and out as far as the sound a little bit. I can still see you and everything,
Right.
but the sound is kind of going out.
How about now?
I can hear you now.
Okay. So yeah, basically just kind of finding like a very primitive, and this is just finding the foundation of your voice, and it kind of goes like something like this, like so adding sound very slightly at the end of your breath, kind of like a caveman, cave woman, like unga. It's a very primitive, like, in it.
Wait.
Yeah. Continue to play with that, but that's basically finding like before we like get dramatic and add projection and add our consonants and vowels, what is just the very basic sound of our voice, and it's and so from there building on top of that. So if you want to do a couple lip trills, we can like start going down and coming up. So it's and I will say, once you find your break, embrace the break. Like, ain't nothing wrong with a voice crack. That's literally where your chest voice and your head voice meet. So marry those two and get familiar with that, because in that space, that kind of middle space, is where you can expand your range or get comfortable with it. So yeah, I'll stop talking. We can just. All right, what you want to do real quick? This is find that heat between your hands, and what we're gonna do is massage our jaw. So the jawline here is, you're gonna find it kind of like uh away from your ear, but this is literally where our jaw unhinges, and we just want to put some literally some fire there, some friction, and to massage that because that's where we keep a lot of tension when we talk. Um, get that heat, and then what you want to do is just find that. Get your hands on it.
When I look up how to get rid of headaches, sometimes this comes up.
Yeah, like from here, this area
Yeah.
in the temple. That's where I get the pain. So yeah, and then if you just want warming up, just, just to ease it up, letting your body know like we're about to talk intentionally and for fun and for play. Don't tense up. Um, and just to kind of waken and aliven your the muscles in your face because that's very important for voice acting. What you want to imagine is the biggest wad of bubblicious bubble gum, really big, and just start chewing it or it's the best flavor ever, and it's really big. You're like, all right. So just move around your whole face. And then I'll do a quick little like big face and little face. So it'll be like big face, like horror movie, like and then little face, like you just tasted a very sour lemon, like so it's like big face and then little face, and you can alternate between that as you want. So I'll just if you want to do a quick little shake, even uh, uh, when you want to meet your diaphragm, which is literally right underneath your rib cage, that can also be a place to liven that up, because the diaphragm is where your power is going to come from when you are speaking. Projection, power, projection also goes in with volume as well, but this is literally where you're going to find your power when you're speaking. Um, yeah, or your source when you are projecting. All right. Okay. All right. You need anything else, or do you have another warm up?
No.
All right. Okay. Well, yeah, I just wanted to check in. I know that we've been sending back and forth audio messages. Well, you've been sending me messages and just getting down the lines and then also the feeling of your character, which is the Fisher. So, um, I did transfer the file that you sent me, and man,
Mhm.
it was good. And like I've told you before, the emotion is there. Clearly you've connected with the character, and I want to make a clear distinction between you, just the actor, and the character, the Fisher. Just because maybe you might find throughout I might be saying you, but I'm going to try my best to correct because like you're not the Fisher. I want to make sure that I'm speaking to the actor, so that we're making that mental distinction between what you're portraying and who you are. And we'll do like a deloading, kind of de-rolling at the end of this, because yeah, those are like the psychological implications of acting too, like getting like merging with your character. But my pedagogy is all about like, no, you are not your character. Like you are like you're the creator, not the creation. The character is the creation. So and we talked about that like sing-songy type of vibe and feel, that spoken word aspect that you're bringing to it, and it's down pat. And I'll let you know, as the director, my goal and my purpose would really just be to kind of, and I talked about like the race car allegory, like you're the racer, you got the car, you got the talent, you are the talent. Just as making the race car track is literally just okay, how are you gonna steer? What is the skill in
Mhm.
storytelling and acting? And it's really all just suggesting. It's never like, oh, I didn't like that, or hey, try this again, and it's never personal. It's just where where I'm pointing to is the final product, and how literally just in a small inflection of your voice that can change how someone leans in to listen. And we know this by listening to people like who have authority over us, our family members who might be older, even our friends who we know as like the leader of the friend pack. We know when people are we hear that when someone is like very serious about what they have to say versus when they're playing. And you can also determine power dynamics within how people use their voice, like a teacher or a boss or a manager, versus just that you kick it with. Like so, in that and using that example of boss and manager, the Fisher is a worker. The Fisher is very much a worker, um, but for her job, it's not like her 9 to 5. It's not like her career. It's a gig. So, just to give you some background of the story, when you
Mhm.
into the story, your character, the Fisher, enters into the story. I'm gonna be honest, like you are the climax. The Fisher is the climax of the story, because what's happening is in the story from the beginning is very mundane. Is very the man comes in the waiter. The man comes into the restaurant. The waiter is there. The waiter and the man go back and forth. It's very like okay, they talk, but boom, the power goes out, and the Fisher comes in with like the most adrenaline. So I want you to think about like
Mhm.
adrenaline and you just like when you are excited, maybe
Mhm.
having a near death experience, um, how would you react and respond to those around you? So this is how you're coming in. You're coming in high energy, um, a little bit.
I have a question.
And you can stop me at any time. It's just some kind of like mental building up for the character.
Okay. So, for the very first line, do you see that at like a particular like pitch specifically, like a certain note or tone or something you could sing or something? So like or
You know what?
you know,
Things like that I'm gonna leave up to you, like tone,
okay,
pitch. What I'm gonna present to you is kind of scenarios, and then I'll leave a fill in the blank for you, the actor, to fill in to what you think.
okay.
Yeah. So yeah, I got the script here. So that your first line is "I'm alive," right? I'm alive.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's your first line. Like so, kind of think of it in the context that the man and the waiter are just like humdrum, mundane, like, and then you walk in like throwing up. The character walks in like throwing up water, like "Ugh, I'm alive." So think about that. Think about the fact that you did just like cough up some water that was stuck in your lungs, but you're alive. And that story that you're telling later on, that story happened at the beginning of the play. So as the man is just talking and the action's going on where the story begins, what's happening with
Yeah.
the plot that we don't know, the audience yet, is that
Mhm.
you're going through this near death experience. So it just takes
Mhm.
that time for you from the start of the play, and then you're in the boat, in the speedboat, and you get to the restaurant, and that's so to think that the character story does start at the beginning too. The audience just doesn't know that. So it's all going on as the play is going on. It's just we see you in the middle of that journey when you get to your destination. Does that make sense? Yeah.
Yes.
So not so much to say like you kind of like animate like a Chuck E. Cheese character just in the middle of it. No, like your character has a story. Your character is going through life too. It's just
Mm.
you as it's happening. And so now, and I'll get into like kind of like objectives for the character. Your objective is to quit. Like your objective is to leave. So you went through all of that. You had to get through the storm. The Fisher had to get through the storm to come back to quit because in the script it says that you're writing this resignation letter to Mr. Barnes and you're going to get out of there. It's just the waiter who you have a relationship with, your coworkers, you have to explain the story. The
Mhm.
Fisher is an artist. The Fisher, like don't really care about that, like keeping rapport with people. That the Fisher is a free spirit, so she feels an obligation to talk to the waiter like I gotta tell you about what happened. It's very much a touch.
Mhm.
And into that, and we can start to get into the lines too. uh Imagine it a crescendo.
Mhm.
So yeah, you are coming in with this like a high adrenaline, but that's not to say
Mhm.
that you have to deliver it with high energy. You can be People can like
Mhm.
have high adrenaline and be out of breath like I gotta tell you about this. I can't just. So when I say crescendo, it is starting with the I'm alive. I'm alive. You have the waiter and the man asking you what happened. You still hear me?
It went in and out right at that moment, but I could hear you other than that.
Okay. So it goes in on page 25. I don't know if you can see the page numbers, but you go in and you start to tell the story. So that's to say, give yourself just some grace to like build up telling a story. You've told plenty of stories in your life. It just depends on who you're talking to. Now, imagine you're talking to your coworker who you cool with, but y'all not like buddies. But it's like if you want this person who's more of an associate to understand you on a seventh house basis, you're not gonna care too much to meet them where they're at. You're very much in your own world, so you are coming across as foreign. The Fisher is coming across as like, from the waiter's perspective, like, girl, you never talked like this before. I thought that you was just like an artist and like you was like, ooh, but like now you talking about angels and you seeing you seeing water. So imagine that too. Sorry if I'm giving you too much. I do apologize.
No, you good.
Yeah. So just in from for the character for you, the actor, for just knowing that your performance is being reflected or refracted from other characters in the story, this could also help your delivery for your lines as well. And knowing that feed into that, like, oh, I just saw that, feed into that because it'll come across and it'll read like that. So I want to play. Do you have any questions?
Just right now, we're about to both listen to the recording, and then we're gonna pick apart and talk about different parts and stuff.
Yeah.
Okay, I'll just get my notes out so I can know everything you're saying.
Okay. And
okay.
Yeah, I'll say this too. Like I said, just kind of there's just moments in telling the story which you have down pat. It's just those moments, and again, it's difficult to not work with people who are there with you. So I get it. Don't get me wrong. It's just in those moments where you are kind of interacting to other characters. That's really where I want to focus, because the juxtaposition between you sharing your testimony and being all in the clouds, having to talk to another character kind of takes you out. So what I envision as the director is the comedy between, like, I just saw an angel. Yeah, that did happen too. But I just saw an angel, just kind of like that. Whoop, whoop, whoop. And your character doesn't get annoyed by it. You kind of just go with the flow. There's this like saying in theater, like yes, and when you're doing improv, like you just go with it. So that your character's just going with it. All right, so I'll play the voice note. It was a matter of life and death. So check it. I'm on the phone with you, right? I'm damn near halfway down the Chesapeake Bay. All right, right there. So when you just,
I'm sorry, can you rewind it?
Oh yeah.
The recording is.
I literally only played like the first 10 seconds, and I already had something to say. I think it's the Libra energy. I'm just like, it was a matter of life and death. So check it. I'm on the phone with you, right? I'm damn near halfway down the Chesapeake Bay. Right there. Did you hear that?
Okay.
So I would say, and this could be a note, whenever you say whenever the Fisher says you, it's gonna be in reference to the waiter, like even right there on that. So check it. I'm on the phone with you, right? So you, as just imagine, you could even try this when you're recording, like pointing to someone while you're recording it. So this can create that sensation and kind of trick your mind, or trick your body rather, into imagining you're actually talking to someone. So I'm on the phone with you, right? Like you. I'm on the phone.
Okay.
Yep. I'm damn near halfway down, and I'll continue. So I came in contact with the storm. Must have been moving from the south, the island. All right. So the punctuation too, I would pay attention to. So I use ellipsis a lot. There's a lot of dots, three dots. We talked before about tangents and how perhaps some people, like in real life, they try to speak very concretely. They try to speak, with purpose and direction. They try not to say and like a lot. These characters don't care about that.
Okay.
So there's a lot of tangents. So right here, even in the line, let me bring it back. To Peak Bay, but in contact with the storm, must have been moved out the island. Right there. Till I came in contact. I'm damn near halfway down the Chesapeake Bay. Till I came in contact with the storm. Tangent. This can even be a moment where you do a I don't know what they're called. I don't think they're. I don't want to misspeak. Um, Look up and you talk. This can, and this is kind of like a direction, as in what you could do physically to mimic that idea of you're on a tangent. So like, till I came in contact with the storm. Must have been moving up from the south. I gather the cat,
Okay.
and you do that a lot. So I would say just find those moments where you are directly telling the story, and then when you're now we can go through and check where that happened. But those are moments too where you're in your mind there.
Okay.
And by that I mean you are kind of bringing things down. You are recollecting. Must have been moving up from the south, the islands. Anyway, so I gather the catch. I put it all right. So I gathered the catch. I put it all in the net, and I cranked that complete speedboat. I'm trailing up north, up the bay. It's getting dark. Can barely see the waters out there on the water. Winds start picking up severely, and I was advised, in case of storms, to pull up to the near. Yeah. I like that delivery because let's look at the words, right? Winds start picking up severely, and I was advised. So, question: who were you advised by?
Right.
So, in the way that you delivered it in this line is, I was advised in case of storms to pull up to the nearest pier. So, this is protocol. You're kind of reciting protocol that your boss taught you. So, I was advised to do that. But then later on in the line, you reveal that you ain't do that. I ain't do it. So, yeah, I'll keep going. Summon up the dots for shelter near the storm. Something was power through it. Must have been my next thing I know.
All right, it's breaking up again.
Okay.
A little bit.
Let me see if I got my Wi-Fi on. How is it now?
Well, can you talk a little more?
Oh yeah.
So I can see.
I am talking a lot and things are moving along.
All right, it's cool.
All right, cool. All right, I'll keep going.
Okay.
Massive wave coming from the west. So massive that it topples the boat, flings me off that thing, and into the water. All right. So yeah. So next thing I see is this massive wave coming from the west. So this play is written and we're producing it as an audio play, but in my mind, it can be staged on a stage. It can be,
Okay.
person theater. So next thing I see, think about, and you can create what that would look like, but think about the physicality of the Fisher. I know we're just doing our voice, but imagine if you were to tell this story and you were a griot or you were a storyteller and you're conveying this message to a child. I could imagine next thing I see is this massive wave coming from the west. So massive, and then you can even start to play out the boat. It starts to topple the boat, flings me off the thing and into the water. Like physically, that's what like would be going on. Like, oh, but you don't have to, do that because you would probably like lose your voice and doing all that for just a recording. But if you could imagine, like, these are the moments where you can get dramatic.
Okay.
Coming, it's this massive way. This can be where that singing comes in. So could be another note where there's adjectives describing, as in this massive wave. That adjective, massive. Those can be where the songs come out for you, just like the singing. This massive wave coming.
Glitching again, like 10 seconds. glitching a little bit.
Damn, that sucks. All right. I'm talking. I'm gonna keep talking.
Screen and the sound.
Damn. No, that sucks. How about now? I'm like right by
It's
the
all
window.
staticking.
It's staticking. How about now?
Yeah.
What if I just held it?
Okay, I think it's better now.
It's better now.
Yeah, I can hear you
Okay.
now.
Okay. I'm gonna put it over here then.
Okay.
All right. So yeah, going back, kind of like a childlike story. Yeah, like on those adjectives, like the massive. That's where the song could come out. Coming from the west, so massive that it topples the boat, flings me off that thing and into the water. So as I was just saying that, it makes me think of right brain and left brain. It makes me think of logic and creativity or emotion. So to tell a story is to try your best to remember the actual factuals. But of course, we in human form, we're gonna project our experience or our emotion. So to kind of break that down in a direction, when you are finding those tangents, that's very much that feeling that you have. But you are trying to like actual factual explain what happened to you. Does that make sense? So you do go back and forth of like, it's this massive wave coming from the west. So massive that it topples me off the boat. So there can even be that play where you can find like, where can I be expressive, and then when can I just tell this story? So even going back and forth with that. I'll continue. Okay. And again, let me know if you have questions.
Well, I was just thinking just like me doing like a video and looking at myself do it and record it and not just the voice recording, so I can just like add like everything he was basically saying about like imagining this and just knowing um like the beginning part of what you said, that was like that helps me like set the tone and it's like really good feedback. Like just the beginning part about traveling and I'm journeying to the restaurant at the same time that they're like in there having that conversation and thinking like, because I know when we was going over it before, I was listening to the parts and stuff, but I did wonder, like I kind of was just distant from the story until my part came, you know what I'm saying? So that's why like I'm glad that, it just gives me context. So when I am opening the doors, because I'm thinking like, if I just survived something, I would be happy. So I was just walking in like happy, like I'm alive, like what I'm saying. But now, I'm like, okay, I went through all of this, like, just like water, like me having water, like, being out of breath, like, all of this, and still being happy that I'm alive, but adding that aspect as well, where or I could literally run and then do the recording and start the beginning, or like, act like I'm, and stuff like that. It just adds a lot of context. So yeah, that it helps me just imagine everything. So that was like the beginning part of what you were saying. And then, as he was going on, I was just like, thinking about the actual boat and the story, or like a children's story, or like just moving and becoming like more like, involved as far as the actual recording and not just doing a voice recording sitting down. Like I could be walking around, and stuff like that to just kind of build up or imagine myself walking around like you were saying too. So
No, that's very appreciative, and that's showing your commitment to it, and then the skill and the technique that you want to apply to it too. That means a lot to me, and I'd say try it all. I'd say try it all.
yeah.
Yeah, and yeah. Okay, no, good stuff. Really good stuff. So I'll continue with the voice. Yeah.
Okay.
Completely underwater. Even when I thought I had reached the surface, I was. Oh, my bad. Coming up the docks would shelter me until the storm passes. I'll skip a little. Flings me off that thing and in the water. Peter says, "Fuck." Wave took me right to the boat. I'm trying to find where.
Okay, it's going in and out again. The sound.
Um, that sucks. What about now? How
I can
about
hear
we?
you now.
Can you
Like I
read?
can I could I could hear you when you were talking, but then like the voice recording, it was just like kind of glitching out a little
That's
bit.
so weird, bruh. I ain't gonna let it phase me. So, can you read the script now? At this,
Sure. What? Let me see. It's just that like I have to kind of connect to my hotspot, and I wonder if can I. Do you know if I can go to settings on my phone and still be live on YouTube if
no
I
clue.
to use the personal hotspot to just put it on? Do you know?
I'd say just go for it and see if anything. I don't
Okay.
think it'll. It
Okay.
might just pause. That sucks.
Underwater. Even when I thought I had reached the surface, I was still underwater. My lungs just filling up. My eyes was closed. I can hear it now if you want to keep on.
Okay, all right. Just does it bother you? Like, is it like?
No, right now it sounds good.
Okay,
So,
all right. We'll keep going until the wheels fall off.
right. Point, I'm completely underwater. Even when I thought I had reached the surface, I was still underwater. My lungs just filling up. My eyes was closed. I was certain. I was certain that this was how I was gonna go. So I had started reckoning with source, started to make my own bed, and I was ready to lay. Say my piece, satisfied with life. You know, all the decisions I done made, tried to clear my mind so that when it was over, when life was over, I was over with it. Can you pause real quick?
Uh huh.
Okay, so that part, you see how you wrote like italics for with,
Mm-hmm.
like the with part right there? So I was thinking like what you think about that particular part because I emphasized the over part and not the with part. You get what I'm saying?
Well, you know why I italicized that, because I didn't want to repeat life. When I said when life was over, I was over with life. Actually, now that I'm saying it out loud, that kind of goes. Like that kind of could, but I remember saying kind of like was over with it to emphasize that you was pointing to just a couple seconds ago the word life. So I'm open whatever interpretation that's going to be, but whenever like I was over with it, even when you are emphasizing over, if you could point to over with what life, does that make sense? Bruh.
Maybe let me just walk around a little bit.
No, for sure, for sure.
All right, I'm listening to you though.
All right, yeah, I'm gonna keep listening too, but yeah, that's a good question.
Okay.
I opened my eyes, but I thought
Would be the last time. Couldn't see nothing. Silly as it was, I took one last breath just to remember how it would feel. I was in complete eyes. I was really, I was shutting my eyes for the last time. I see something. It stood out to me. You know when you sense a figure around you, a figure holding light, it's close to it, you can pick up danger from it. This thing wasn't quite moving. It's the connect.
it's the. Would it be better to FaceTime?
Yes,
Okay.
probably. I think so.
All right. Well, look, we're gonna end it right here,
Okay.
but we ain't over. All right.
Right.
All right. I'm gonna holler
All
at
right.
you. All right.
Okay.